When a woman finally chooses herself, something inside her shifts, not in anger, not in pride, but in peace. She stops begging for love that drains her and attention that costs her sanity. The moment she realizes her worth, she no longer waits for anyone to validate her. She doesn't chase, explain, or convince anymore. She simply walks away from what doesn't honor her. And for the first time, her silence speaks louder than all her words ever did. This story isn't about arrogance or revenge. It's about awakening. It's about that quiet, powerful moment when a woman stops trying to be someone's everything and starts becoming her own. Because when she finally chooses herself, the world around her begins to change. And so does she. When a woman finally chooses herself, it's not a decision that happens overnight. It's the result of years, sometimes decades, of giving, sacrificing, and trying to be everything for everyone else. She has poured love into others until her own cup ran dry. She has stayed up late comforting people who never noticed her silent pain. She has said, "I'm fine," when she was breaking inside. For so long, she believed that love meant giving without limits, that being needed was the same as being valued. But then, something within her starts to whisper, "What about me?" That whisper grows louder with every disappointment, every broken promise, every time her kindness was mistaken for weakness. And one day she listens. That's the day everything changes. Not because she becomes cold or selfish, but because she finally understands that loving herself is not betrayal. It's survival. When she chooses herself, she starts setting boundaries, not walls, but clear lines that protect her peace. She stops apologizing for needing space, for saying no, for putting her happiness first. The people around her may not understand it at first. Some may even accuse her of changing. But the truth is, she's not changing. She's returning to who she was before the world taught her to shrink. She learns that she can be kind without being taken advantage of, that she can be loving without losing herself in the process. It's not about shutting people out. It's about no longer abandoning herself to keep them in. Every boundary she draws is a quiet act of self-respect, a declaration that her heart deserves care too. Her relationships begin to shift. Those built on dependency start to fade, and those built on mutual respect begin to grow stronger. She realizes that she doesn't have to beg for attention or chase after love that keeps running. If it's real, it will meet her halfway. She understands that love is not supposed to be exhausting. It's supposed to be nurturing, peaceful, and reciprocal. And if it isn't, she's brave enough to walk away, because she finally knows that walking away doesn't mean giving up. It means she's done settling for half versions of love. When she walks, she carries no bitterness, only lessons. She doesn't wish anyone harm, but she does wish herself freedom. Then she starts discovering parts of herself she had forgotten. The girl who once had dreams bigger than her fears starts to reemerge. She laughs again, not because someone made her happy, but because she's learned to find joy in her own company. She travels, reads, paints, heals. She stops waiting for permission to exist and starts living unapologetically. The world seems brighter, not because it's changed, but because she has. She realizes that she is her own anchor, her own home. She doesn't need saving anymore. She's already saved herself. And perhaps the most beautiful thing that happens when a woman finally chooses herself is that she stops settling for love that feels small. She no longer confuses attachment with affection or attention with care. She learns that being alone isn't loneliness, it's freedom. She understands that the right person will never demand that she shrink to fit their comfort. Choosing herself doesn't mean she won't love again. It means when she does, it'll be from wholeness, not emptiness. It'll be love built on strength, not survival. Because once a woman learns to honor her own soul, she becomes unstoppable. Not because she's unbreakable, but because she knows how to rebuild herself every single time. The moment a woman decides to choose herself is not without its inner battles. It begins quietly, almost imperceptibly, with tiny acts of defiance against the patterns that have held her down. She notices how drained she feels after giving too much, how heavy it is to prioritize everyone else's happiness over her own. There's a tension inside her, a tug of war between the comfort of what she's always known and the unknown freedom that scares her. Leaving the familiar, even if it's harmful, can feel impossible. Change is intimidating, even when it's necessary, because it means stepping into a world where she must rely on herself, fully, and unapologetically. And yet, somewhere deep in her, she knows that staying the same is no longer an option. As she starts choosing herself, the world begins to react. Friends, partners, and colleagues may be confused, even resistant. Some may try to guilt her, to remind her of obligations, to make her doubt her own decisions. But the more they push, the clearer it becomes. Their discomfort is not her problem. She begins to understand that people can't dictate her worth, and their approval is not required for her happiness. This realization is both terrifying and liberating. It forces her to confront old fears. The fear of loneliness, the fear of judgment, the fear of losing those she's invested in. But for the first time, she sees that these fears are small compared to the cost of living a life that isn't truly hers. She starts noticing the subtle ways her energy has been depleted over the years, the conversations she endured out of obligation, the relationships she tolerated out of fear of being alone, the dreams she abandoned because they didn't align with someone else's expectations. Each memory brings a pang of regret, but it also brings clarity. She begins to untangle herself from the layers of conditioning, expectation, and compromise that have defined her for so long. It's messy, painful, and disorienting. There are moments when doubt creeps in, whispering that she's making a mistake, that self-love is selfish, that independence is dangerous. But the pull toward her own life, her true life, is stronger than any whisper of fear. With every choice she makes, the tension grows, not because she is unsure of herself, but because she is awakening to her own power. She discovers that saying no feels like liberation, that leaving situations that don't serve her is empowering, and that prioritizing her happiness doesn't diminish her love for others. It enhances it. Each step toward herself strengthens her resolve, but also draws attention. Some people admire the change quietly, inspired by her courage. Others react with resistance, trying to pull her back into old patterns. And in these interactions, she learns one of the most important lessons. Choosing herself will challenge the dynamics around her, but that is the cost of authenticity, and it's worth every confrontation. The suspense of this transformation lies in the delicate balance between fear and courage. She feels vulnerable as she navigates this uncharted territory, but also exhilarated by the possibility of a life lived fully on her terms. Every decision, no matter how small, carries weight. Choosing herself may mean ending relationships, setting new boundaries, or pursuing dreams that others deemed impractical. It may mean silence where once she sought approval, and solitude where once she sought validation. And yet, in that silence and solitude, she begins to hear her own voice, her own desires, her own truth. The suspense isn't about what will happen. It's about discovering that she has been capable of this all along, that the strength, wisdom, and resilience she feared she lacked have been inside her from the beginning. As this realization deepens, she begins to radiate a quiet confidence that draws attention without effort. People notice the shift, some with curiosity, others with envy. But she no longer bends to their expectations. She bends only to her own vision of fulfillment. And in this tension, between old attachments and new freedom, between fear and courage, the story unfolds. Every step she takes toward herself becomes a revelation. Every choice a statement of self-worth. The suspense isn't in what she might lose, but in what she stands to gain. A life defined not by others, but by her own unwavering commitment to honor, love, and respect herself. By the middle of this journey, the stakes are high, not because the world threatens her, but because she is learning to confront the world as her true self. Each challenge tests her resolve, each moment of resistance strengthens her understanding, and each quiet victory proves that self-choice is not an act of selfishness. It is the most profound act of courage a woman can perform. And in that courage lies the suspense that keeps the story alive, not knowing exactly what the world will demand, but knowing that she is ready to meet it, fully and unapologetically. As the journey of choosing herself reaches its climax, the woman stands at the precipice of a profound transformation. Every choice she has made, from small daily acts of self-respect to life-altering decisions about relationships, career, and personal growth, has led her to this point. The world around her may have resisted, questioned, and even judged, but she has persisted. Now, the true power of her decision reveals itself, not in external accolades or recognition, but in the profound internal shift that occurs when a woman fully embraces her worth. It's a power so subtle yet undeniable, a quiet force that reshapes her existence and touches everyone around her. This final revelation is simple in theory, but revolutionary in impact. When a woman chooses herself, she cannot be replaced, diminished, or ignored. Her strength, cultivated through years of struggle, compromise, and self-discovery, radiates in every gesture, word, and thought. It's in the way she carries herself, unbowed by expectations or societal pressures. It's in the calm assurance that her happiness is her own responsibility, and no one else's approval is required. Those who once sought to control her, manipulate her, or define her, now see that she is untouchable in her autonomy. And for those who truly understand her, admiration turns into respect. Love transforms into deeper connection, and influence shifts to the woman herself, not the roles she played for others. The final secret also unveils a truth many men fail to understand until it is too late. A woman who knows her worth is no longer a passive participant in life. She is the architect of her own destiny. She sets boundaries without guilt, communicates without fear, and pursues her passions without apology. Every attempt to sway her with past attachments, promises, or manipulation meets the resilient force of self-awareness. Men who underestimated her, who took her for granted, begin to recognize the void they created in their own lives by not valuing her sooner. They may attempt to return, but by this point the woman is no longer dependent on their presence for validation or fulfillment. She is complete on her own, and that completeness is magnetic, undeniable, and most importantly, permanent. In thy realm of relationships, this revelation carries profound implications. The woman who has chosen herself no longer tolerates emotional games, disrespect, or conditional love. She recognizes the signs of genuine care versus superficial attachment and aligns herself only with people who honor her journey. Those who fail to meet her standards are gently but firmly removed from her life, creating space for growth, authenticity, and connections that nurture rather than drain. The realization of her self-worth acts as a filter, separating fleeting interest from meaningful engagement, shallow intentions from sincere respect. And as this filter strengthens, so too does her capacity to attract partners who see her not as an object to possess, but as a person to celebrate. The psychological impact of this revelation is equally significant. Choosing herself triggers a profound sense of empowerment that rewires her perspective on love, work, and life itself. She begins to understand the patterns that once held her back: over-accommodation, fear of abandonment, people-pleasing, and she dismantles them one by one. The liberation is intoxicating, yet grounded, thrilling, yet balanced. With each decision aligned with her values, she experiences a clarity that was previously obscured by doubt, obligation, and compromise. She discovers that self-respect is not a mere principle but a transformative force that affects every aspect of her existence. The most striking element of this climax is the irreversible nature of the change. A woman who has chosen herself cannot return to old habits, cannot allow herself to be manipulated again, and cannot settle for anything less than she deserves. Her inner strength becomes a permanent fixture, a silent power that commands attention without seeking it, influences without demanding it, and inspires without trying. Those who attempt to diminish her find that their efforts are futile because her worth is internal, unshakable, and independent of external validation. This is the ultimate revelation. The woman who fully embraces herself creates a life that is extraordinary, not because of external circumstances, but because of the unyielding force of her own agency. As this journey concludes, the final secret resonates with clarity. Men, colleagues, friends, and even society at large may come to understand too late that a woman who chooses herself is irreplaceable. Her presence, shaped by experience, wisdom, and courage, leaves a lasting impact that cannot be duplicated. Attempts to control or diminish her are met with quiet defiance. Attempts to undervalue her only underscore their own shortcomings. And for the woman herself, this revelation brings peace, fulfillment, and a profound sense of liberation. She knows that every choice she has made has led her to a life defined not by obligation or approval, but by authenticity, self-respect, and unwavering confidence. Ultimately, the last big reveal is not a single event, but a culmination of countless decisions that together form an unstoppable force. It is the acknowledgement that when a woman finally chooses herself, she transforms every part of her life, elevates the way others perceive her, and solidifies her place in the world as someone who cannot be overlooked or forgotten. Her silent power is both her shield and her beacon, a testament to the fact that true strength lies in self-possession, self-respect, and the courage to live life entirely on her own terms. And in this power, she finds not just freedom, but a life worth living, fully and unapologetically. As we reach the conclusion of this journey, it becomes clear that the power of a woman who knows her worth is not just a fleeting moment but a lifelong transformation. Choosing herself does not happen overnight. It is the result of countless decisions, reflections, and moments of courage that gradually shape her into someone unshakable, respected, and admired. This process teaches an invaluable lesson. True strength is not measured by dominance or control over others, but by the ability to honor one's own value and live authentically. Every step she takes toward self-respect ripples through her life, influencing relationships, career choices, and the way she perceives the world. The women who embrace this journey are often those who have faced challenges, heartbreaks, and betrayals, yet they emerge not bitter but wiser. They learn to distinguish between temporary attachment and genuine connection, between influence and manipulation. By choosing herself, a woman sets a clear standard for how she expects to be treated, signaling to everyone around her that her presence is valuable and her respect is non-negotiable. Those who fail to meet her standards naturally fall away, while those who align with her principles are drawn closer, creating deeper, more meaningful connections. This ability to filter relationships is one of the hallmarks of her growth, and it demonstrates a quiet but undeniable authority over her own life. Choosing herself also redefines how she interacts with the world. She no longer seeks validation from others because her sense of worth comes from within. She understands that approval, attention, or affection from others can be fleeting, but self-respect is permanent. This internal shift allows her to pursue her passions, voice her opinions, and take risks without fear of judgment. Her confidence is magnetic, not because she demands recognition, but because it emanates naturally from her authenticity. People are drawn to her, inspired by her courage, and often regret not recognizing her value sooner. In this way, her life becomes a testament to the transformative power of self-awareness and intentional living. Moreover, the lessons learned from this transformation extend beyond romantic relationships. A woman who chooses herself brings clarity, stability, and resilience to every aspect of her life. She handles challenges with grace, approaches opportunities with discernment, and nurtures her personal growth with consistency. Her choices are guided not by fleeting emotions or societal pressures, but by a deep understanding of her own needs and priorities. This approach cultivates a sense of fulfillment that cannot be dictated externally, creating a life rich with purpose, respect, and authenticity. Ultimately, the wrap-up reveals a profound truth. Men, friends, and society at large may come to realize too late that a woman who honors herself is irreplaceable. Her influence, formed through courage, wisdom, and self-respect, leaves a lasting impression that cannot be duplicated. For the woman herself, the reward is immeasurable. A life defined not by compromise or approval, but by authenticity, confidence, and inner freedom. Choosing herself is not an act of selfishness, but an act of empowerment, a declaration that her happiness and growth are paramount. In the end, the story of a woman who chooses herself is a powerful reminder to all. True strength lies in understanding your value, embracing your worth, and living a life that reflects both. When she walks her path with self-respect and courage, she not only transforms her own life, but also leaves an indelible mark on the world, proving that the most unforgettable women are those who never compromise on themselves. If you found this video insightful, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more content that dives deep into psychology, relationships, and the secrets of human behavior. Share your thoughts below. We'd love to hear your experiences and opinions. Hit the bell icon so you never miss an update, and stay tuned for more powerful insights that can change the way you see yourself and others.